Hey everybody, it is Eric, it is Mental, and we are back from the BFE GP at High Plains Raceway. And when we say we are back, we mean neither of us was there, but we got notes from Judge Aaron.
Yeah, it was great. I had this left under my windshield at work, so yep. Yeah.
I got Judge Phil's notes right here, so we're all good. As always, great race. Track's in the middle of nowhere, so everyone hangs out. That's hella sweet.
As always, eBay Motors was there, and they had lots of free swag because Lord knows after Lemons weekend, you're going to need some stuff off of eBay.
Hella sweet, as always. The paddock party at High Plains is completely off the chain every Saturday night that we're there. There's a bum wine tasting. There was Malort being passed around. If you know what that is, you know that's a terrible idea.
Oh, it keeps going. It goes for a while. Like, it'll be with you for about half an hour.
Half an hour, huh?
Yeah.
There was pizza being cooked by one team instead of them working on their car, and Judge Phil's junkyard boombox had so much slap you could hear it in Aspen.
Where beautiful women instinctively flock like the salmon of Capistrano. I'm talking about a little place called Aspen.
I don't know, Lloyd. The French are assholes.
Now, what do parties have to do with racing? For the most part, people partake in their hobbies for personal reasons, to tell fishing tales. Well, in Lemons, you're generally in it for the racing tales or the paddock party tales. Either way, you're really only being honest about one of them.
Yeah, so halfway through my 2-hour stint, my teammate Alan, he never comes on the radio, calls and says, I need you to run 2:19s and save some fuel so that you can run 2 hours and 15 minutes. That's the story. That's the whole story. So there I was, running a lap down, going like way too fast. And my teammate Alan, he's such a he was like, dude, slow down. Slow down, you're going way too fast, you're gonna get us in trouble. But I didn't, and we totally won. So Alan owes me dinner from Quiznos. Yeah, I was dancing with a TV-headed robot alongside Strong Bad and some guys dressed up as lemon wedges. We ate pizza from guys who weren't working on their car. There was some guy dressed as a cowboy cooking beans. We sampled a bunch of $3 bottles of wine, drank some horrible thing from a writer who was living in a tiny van for the weekend, and we got in a dance contest that was won by some guy's mom or some kids. I don't really remember very much of it. Also hella sweet, these guys bought an old BMW that had raced in Lemons before, and they said, man, we need to retheme this. So they did a Homestar Runner theme. Now, I personally have been dying for somebody to do this, and these guys absolutely nailed it. It is the right kind of nerdy humor that kind of just dovetails with Lemons.
Other great humor that dovetails with Lemons, Grumpy Cat. The Grumpy Cat Dodge, back with a modern-ish Dodge Dakota V8. They even had an Iron Chef competition with bean, ice cream, and who knows what else.
But Terrible, let's talk about cheating for a minute. Now, these guys from Frictionless World, they took a Miata and they put a GM V6 in it, and they claimed it was the Catera V6, which in a sense is true. It came out of a CTS, and little known fact, CTS means Catera Touring Sedan, in a classic General Motors attempt to scrub out of existence the black eye on the brand that was the Caddy that zigs. Anyway, the engine is the 3.6 liter high feature, good GM, V6 with 300 horsepower, and from here we will crib from Judge Phil's notes. Because the team is comprised of they made it look fast. I knew these fools would wiener step in multiple ways, so I put them in Class B with 0 laps and told other judges to override if they felt uncomfortable about it. They did not. I like this sort of classing gamble, and I almost always win the bet. Saturday, car was very fast, spent some time in P1, paddock throbbing with anger over classing, penalty injustice, etc. Black flags ensued. Oh, so many black flags. Then broke.
System 3, Quack-a-lack, 0. Speaking of Judge Phil, he says the turbo Chevette now dynos at 404 horsepower when the push to pass button is engaged. It's a decent Top Gun theme. It failed to dominate due to a busted alternator because it was running on some sort of old one model only RX-7 alternator with strange brackets, and all new brackets had to be fabricated to mount the AutoZone Obtanium alternator.
But terrible was the Chevy Malibu versus Ford Taurus tete-a-tete, and again we will quote from Judge Phil with the 2000s fleet car Malibu versus Taurus matchup looked exciting at first, but like the Malibu and Taurus, proved tedious and depressing. Their lap total combined, about as good as an 82 Corolla.
Numbers are hard.
Hella sweet. A diesel rabbit. Now this is the same guy who had that diesel caddy that raced a couple of years ago, and he sold that on eBay Motors. Then he built this one out of a pile of diesel VW things he had laying around because, of course, he had a pile of VW diesel things.
Let's talk about some winners. We'll start with Class C at this race, which was the number 900 Rusty Thunder Saab-powered Pontiac Fiero. We saw this car first at pit. It was kind of terrible, and just before this race on social media, we called them out as being perhaps optimistic. Then they promptly won Class C. Now, how do you get a 200 horsepower Fiero into Class C? It's a Saab swapped Fiero. Just bring one of those. Could be you.
Class B was the volatile Ram Toyota MR2, and this is also a group that has previously built two twin-engined MR roll-ups. Now, 801 ran like a top, and they finished in the top 5 overall with the 39th quickest lap. Clean and smart on the track.
Now, the Yokohama Road Mangler Cup winner went to the Racing Baguettes and their Hyundai Genesis Coupe. If you somehow missed the memo after 2 years of doing this, if you run your car on Yokohama tires, you get the chance to win a set of Yokohama tires at the end of the weekend. The Racing Baguettes are now 2-time winners with their Hyundai Genesis Coupe. They might need a new bumper, but as it turns out, a Hyundai Genesis Coupe, and pretty much any Hyundai, totally valueless after the warranty is up, so start shopping for your 10-year-old Hyundais, and it could be you with the Genesis Coupe.
Heroic fix was the Gun Barrel Cobras and their number 9 Toyota Starlet. Now, it's got the Suzuki Vitara V6 because that's the swap you do. That motor goes kaboom, and like clockwork, they swapped in another. Was still pretty quick, approximately as quick as a Saab swapped Fiero, for example. But if they ever sort it out, it is going to be a super entertaining Lemons car.
On the opposite end of the clockwork spectrum is the Duck on a Leash Porsche 926. What is a Porsche 926? It's a Porsche 924 with a diesel Volvo / Volkswagen 6-cylinder diesel engine. There's a Lemons World episode about this car. You should go watch that. That engine finally, after several partial races, gave up, and they worked tirelessly to swap in an engine, but they couldn't quite manage it. And I think that's it. Oh, no, I missed a couple things. Namely that they didn't have a spare engine and had no hope of ever finding another one. So, like any sane person, they decided to swap the car from diesel to gas with a Volkswagen engine that bolts right up.
And by bolts right up, we mean they took a piece of metal and tried to craft a bell housing with a Dremel, hand drill, and pure imagination.
Come with me, and you'll be in a world of pure imagination.
They got about 98% of the way done, and they had parts from the two engines all over their paddock space. Who knows what they'll show up with next? Now, the regional award of beating a dead horse went to the number 100 Citroën Motorsports, which is really a Honda CR-V. And how does a Honda CR-V get put into Class B? Well, Jan, the Mad Dutch Man. You know what? Let's just let Judge Phil explain this one.
The 100 CR-V team had an extraordinarily complex theme based around the lemon wedge costumes explained to me by Jan the Mad Dutchman. Intergalactic Lemons gods, stolen souls must win Class C to redeem souls endlessly wandering around the cosmos. Anyway, it was enjoyable watching the lemon wedges assemble into an 8-legged lemon all weekend.
Now, Judge's choice went to the number 707 CKT Racing and a boring BMW E46, and there's several student teams around, including 2 teams from CU Boulder. These guys were part of a revamped CU Boulder team. They were building an E36 or 46, obviously wasn't going to be done in time. So instead, they bought a race-ready E30 that only needed brakes and little things like the entire suspension bolted back into the car. They racked up a bunch of black flags on Saturday, reined it in on Sunday for a clean day, and a redemption story, Judge's choice.
Organizer's choice was Petrosexual Racing and their Chrysler Crossfire. Chrysler Crossfire. Man, we have been asking for teams to bring one of these things for years, and it was a pretty simple win for Petrosexuals because it is easily the best thing Chrysler has made in the last 20 years. Why? Because it's really a Mercedes. Now, Petrosexual Racing, who of course swapped a Cadillac high technology V8 into their Miata, acquired this Crossfire with a bunch of body damage from Copart, cost them basically nothing. Sure, they had to make their own grille and fenders by cutting up a couple of Chrysler Sebrings, but they left the drivetrain stock and it finished in the top half of the standings. It ran better than the Daimler Chrysler merger of equals, and as you can tell, Petrosexual has a knack for driving themselves right through loopholes that they perhaps create. That's kind of the trick. First person through the loophole gets through it way easier than everybody else. There you go. Could have been you.
And that brings us to our top award presented by eBay Motors, the Halloween Meets Gasoline. And that one went to number 13 Hangar 13 Racing and their Chevy Vega. Question: does a Chevy Vega really need a theme? Not at all. But the kind of teams who voluntarily race a Chevy Vega are usually the kind of teams that theme well, and my current geographic location notwithstanding, Hangar 13 brought us Viva Las Vegas with Elvis and Liberace and George Burns and Ramon the Croupier, Robot Showgirl, and of course, Hunter S. Thompson.
Now, by the way, there is a Hunter S. Thompson Red Shark / White Whale theme out there waiting for those inclined towards literature.
Anyway, Tom Weld built the team a Judge bot, which now has an early 70s TV as a head. Makes as much sense as anything. And it helps us dish out some penalties as well. And they rolled with this theme all weekend, which is the key to winning the Halloween Meets Gasoline. Magnificently done. Terrifically earned Halloween Meets Gasoline, Hangar 13.
Index of affluency for the car that does the most with the least goes to another Toyota Starlet, this one of Skid Doo. Now on the East Coast we have races where there are 2 Dodge Omnis. In Colorado we have races with 2 Toyota Starlets. Skid Doo Starlet does not have a Suzuki V6 in it. It is completely stock, which means about 60 horsepower. It is almost the absolute slowest car, slower even than the Grumpy Cat 1950 Dodge, and yet it beat the hell out of the Starlet with 3 times as much horsepower, beat another couple dozen cars, easily won the Index of Affluency.
And now, here's Lemons in a nutshell.
Dance! That's better! Yeah, it's even better than that. Oons, 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 oons. Pew, pew, oons, oons, oons. You know, generally when we have a Smokey and the Bandit theme, like one guy's the bandit and the other guy is like Cletus Snow. But you're both the bandit. There you go, it's very half-assed.
We tried. This is the wrong half. It's unthemed.
Oh, I see, yeah, the half shirt, very nice.
Yeah. Is this the correct way to do this?
Tom, waardeloos! Echt, ik ben enorm teleurgesteld. Je hoort geen zwarte vlag te krijgen. Wat is dit voor een onzin? Jij ongelofelijke klootviool.